안녕하세요, 톰입니다. Let's have fun learning Korean together. We are going to learn 3 grammatical expressions today. The first one is 은이은 채로, while, with. The second one is 리을만큼, as much as. And the last one is 는 반면에, whereas. After you learn today's grammar, you will be able to tell your favorite Korean idols or actors something like 죽을 만큼 사랑해요. I love you as much I would die for you. Wow, that's gonna be a very impressive sentence, right? So let's learn lots of useful expressions like this and finish the intermediate class together and pass topic 2. I'm sure you can achieve your goal and be the supermaster of Korean. 그럼 시작할게요. So first, you can use 은이은 채로 for mainly verbs, and it means while one situation continues, something else happens. Or to come up with an exact English translation of 은이은 채로 that applies to all situations, the most common translations are with or while. For example, the mother went into the kitchen with a hat on her head. You can also say this as the mother went into the kitchen while wearing a hat. As you can see, I am expressing that one situation continues while something else is also happening by using while or with. Basically, you use this grammar in the past tense and you can apply future tense and present tense forms. Then let's look at each conjugation for verbs and nouns. First of all, in the case of verbs, if a verb doesn't have a final consonant, you use 니은 채로. And if one does, you use 은 채로. For example, 쓰다 is to wear. Since it doesn't have a final consonant, you add 니은 채로 to make 쓴 채로 while wearing. For 먹다, to eat, since it has a final consonant, you add 은 채로 and say 먹은 채로 while eating. Next is the conjugation of nouns. You can just use 인 채로 regardless of a final consonant. For example, 친구 becomes 친구인 채로 while he is a friend, and 미완성, being not yet complete, becomes 미완성인 채로 while it's not yet completed. Also, as you can see, there are parentheses on low. You can omit it or just keep it. The meaning will be the same. Then let's look at the sentence. 그는 눈을 감은 채 소파에 누워 있었다. He lay down on a bed with his eyes closed. In this sentence, 감다, to close, is a verb with a final consonant. So you use 은 채 here to say 감은 채 with his eyes closed. Let's move on to the next question. 고양이가 아침에 집을 나간 채 아직도 안 돌아왔다. A cat hasn't come back yet while it went out in the morning. In this sentence, 나가다, to go out, is a verb. You add 니은 채 to make 나간 채 while a cat went out. Let's look at the next example. 경찰은 미해결인 채로 사건 수사를 종료했다. The police stopped the investigation of a case with it unsolved. In this sentence, 미해결 is a noun which means being unsolved. You can attach 인 채로 to make 미해결인 채로 with it unsolved. Quiz! Then let's deepen our understanding with some quizzes. Which one is the correct answer? 여기는 신발을 들어가도 돼요? May I come in with my shoes worn? Number 1, 벗은 채로. Number 2, 신은 채로. The correct answer is number 2. 신다 is to put on shoes, and it's a verb with a final consonant. So you use 은 채로 and say 신은 채로. Number 1 is 벗은 채로, which means with my shoes taken off. So it means the opposite of the translation. Therefore, it is wrong. Okay, then let's read it together. 여기는 신발을 신은 채로 들어가도 돼요? May I come in with my shoes worn? Please read it several times until you can use this sentence in a real situation. Then let's move on to the next quiz. 우리 이렇게 이야기하지 말고 좀 앉아서 얘기해요. Why don't we sit and talk instead rather than standing and talking like this? Number 1, 일어선 채로. Number 2, 선 채로. The correct answer is number 2. I tried to make this quiz a little bit tricky this time, but how was it? Here, 서다 to stand is a verb without a final consonant. So you use 니은 채로 and say 선 채로. The number 1 is the wrong answer because 일어서다 means to stand up. You use this word to describe the right moment you are standing up like this. Like this moment you're standing up, okay? So it's difficult to just imagine talking while standing up, so it's wrong. Okay? Then let's read it together. 우리 이렇게 선체로 이야기하지 말고 좀 앉아서 얘기해요. Please read it several times to express your thoughts to your friend. So now let's look at the second grammar. 리을만큼 follows verbs and means as much as. Let's look at the conjugation. You have to use 리을만큼 if a verb doesn't have a final consonant and 을만큼 if one does. For example, 가다 to go does not have a final consonant. So you use 리을만큼 and say 갈 만큼 as much as you go. Also, 먹다 to eat has a final consonant. So you use 을만큼 and say 먹을 만큼 as much as you eat. Then let's look at an example sentence. 난 배가 터질 만큼 먹었으니까 네가 다 먹어. I have eaten as much as my stomach is going to explode. So you can eat them all. In this sentence, 터지다 means to explode. And it doesn't have a final consonant. So you attach 리을만큼 to say 터질 만큼 as much it explodes. Then let's look at the next sentence. 그 방에는 발 디딜 틈이 없을 만큼 사람이 많이 있었다. There were so many people in the room that there was no place to step in. In this sentence, 발 디딜 틈이 없다 is an idiom meaning you can't walk through it or there is no place to step in. Native speakers often use this phrase as well, so please try to memorize it. And the verb 없다, there is no, does not have a final consonant, so you use 을만큼 to make 발 디딜 틈이 없을 만큼 as much as there is no place to step in. Quiz! Then let's deepen our understanding with some quizzes. Which one is the correct answer? 어느새 한국어 실력이 늘었네요. Your Korean skill has surprisingly improved before I realized it. Number 1, 놀랐을 만큼. Number 2, 놀랄 만큼. The correct answer is number 2. 놀라다 is to be surprised and it doesn't have a final consonant. So you can use 리을만큼 and say 놀랄 만큼 as much as I was surprised. It is better to translate it as surprisingly improved before I realized it. The number 1 is incorrect because it is not natural to combine it with a past tense. Okay? By the way, I hope you can receive that kind of a sweet compliment in the future. Okay? Then let's read it out loud together. 어느새 놀랄 만큼 한국어 실력이 늘었네요. Please read it at least 3 times, imagining that your teacher would say this to you. Then let's look at the next quiz. 우린 둘이서 어디 친하지 않아요. We are not close enough to hang out together. Number 1, 놀러 갈 만큼. Number 2, 놀러 간 만큼. The correct answer is number 1. In this sentence, 놀다 is to play. To make it to hang out, you use the grammar 으로 가다 to do something and say 놀러 가다 to hang out. Since 놀러 가다 does not have a final consonant, you can add 리을만큼 and say 놀러 갈 만큼, close enough to hang out. The number 2, 놀러 간 만큼 means as much as we hang out, which is the past tense, so it is different from the translation. Then let's read it together. 우린 둘이서 어디 놀러 갈 만큼 친하지 않아요. Please read it several times, expressing your emotions to your friend. Okay? Then let's move on to the last grammar. 반면 means the other side, and you can use this grammar with the attributive form of verbs and adjectives. The meaning is in contrast or whereas. In the case of present tense for verbs, you use 는 반면에, do something whereas. For past tense of verbs, you use 은이은 반면에, did something whereas. In the case of adjectives, 은이은 반면에 means it is whereas. In the case of nouns, you use 인 반면에, in contrast with. The particle 에 is often used together, although it can be abbreviated. By using this grammar, the structure becomes like A 반면에 B. You can use this grammar when the content of part A and B are exact opposite. So here is a good example sentence. 그 친구는 한국어를 잘하는 반면에 영어는 좀 못해요. That kid is good at Korean, whereas he is not that good at English. In this sentence, as 잘하다, to be good at, is a verb. You attach 는 반면에 to make 잘하는 반면에 is good at Korean, whereas. By the way, if you look at the English translation of 잘하다, to be good at, you might think this is an adjective, but in Korean, 잘하다 is a verb. So be careful. As you can see from the sentence, the content in the first half says that kid is good at Korean, and the last half is saying the opposite, which is he is not that good at English. These two sentences are connected through 는 반면에. Do you get it? Okay, then let's look at the next example. 최근에 매장 매출은 하락한 반면에 온라인 샵 매출은 올랐다. Recently, store sales declined, whereas online shop sales increased. In this sentence, 하락하다 is a verb, meaning to decline. Here, you want to say the past tense, declined. So you attach 니은 반면에 to make 하락한 반면에, declined, whereas. Crystal clear? Let's look at the next sentence. 이 제품은 비싼 반면에 성능이 굉장히 좋습니다. This product is expensive, whereas it has a good quality. In this sentence, 비싸다, to be expensive, is an adjective which does not have a final consonant. So you attach 니은 반면에 to make 비싼 반면에. It is expensive, whereas. Okay? Quiz! Then let's deepen our understanding more through some quizzes. Which one is the correct answer? 우리 동생은 키가 반면에 체력은 있어요. My younger brother is short, whereas he has good physical strength. Number 1, 작은. Number 2, 낮은. The correct answer is number 1. The right expression to describe one's height is 키가 작다 or 크다, to be short or to be tall. And 작다, to be short, is an adjective which has a final consonant. So you attach 은 반면에 to make 작은 반면에. My younger brother is short, whereas. Number 2 is wrong because Korean people don't say 키가 낮다. It's always 키가 작다. Okay? Be careful not to be confused by these two. Now, let's read it out loud together. 우리 동생은 키가 작은 반면에 체력은 있어요. Please read it several times, imagining that you are introducing your brother to your friend. Let's move on to the next quiz. 배편은 시간이 오래, 반면에 가격이 싸요. See mails takes time, whereas the price is cheaper. Number 1, 걸리는. Number 2, 걸린. The correct answer is number 1. 시간이 걸리다 is to take time. 걸리다 is a verb, so you can add 는 반면에 to make the present tense. Therefore, you can say 걸리는 반면에 takes time, whereas the number 2, 걸린 반면, is the past tense, which means took time, whereas it doesn't match with the translation. Therefore, number 2 is incorrect. Okay, then let's read it together. 배편은 시간이 오래 걸리는 반면에 가격이 싸요. Please read it several times, imagining that you're describing two opposite things in one sentence. Okay? Wow, you learned this word. Good job! Then I'm going to give you wonderful homework. 앞으로도 승승장구. Keep winning. Homework. Come on! The first assignment is to write 3 sentences in the comment section using the grammar we learned today. So first, please use 은이은 채로 while, with, and tell me what you did while a situation continued. I would make a sentence like this. 어제는 스케줄이 너무 바빠서 화장한 채로 자버렸어요. Yesterday my schedule was so packed that I fell asleep while I was wearing makeup. Oh no, it is terrible that I fall asleep with makeup on. The next morning I realized I got panda eyes. Do you have that kind of experience? Please tell me in the comments section if you have, okay? For the second sentence, please write a sentence with 리을만큼 as much as. For example, 매일매일 생각이 들 만큼 여러분을 사랑해요. I love you guys as much as you guys are always on my mind. Yes, I made this sentence because I'm always thinking about diligent students like you guys. For the third sentence, please use 는 반면에, whereas please contrast two things in one sentence. For example, 도시는 교통이 잘 되어 있어서 편리한 반면에 공기는 시골만큼 좋지는 않아요. In big cities, the traffic is well organized and everything is convenient, whereas the air is not as clean in the countryside. I'm so encouraged by your comments about homework. Please send me more and more sentences you made. And the second homework is to memorize new words. Please memorize the 40 words from number 281 to number 320 on page 4 in the intermediate vocabulary. There is a vocabulary quiz on my 40 words on my website, so just feel free to try it. The link is in the description box. That's it for today! Thank you so much for doing your best today as well. As you keep learning every day like this, I'm sure that a bright future will be ahead of you. I'm always here to support you, and don't forget, have fun learning Korean! 그럼 오늘도 행복 가득, 웃음 가득한 하루 되세요. 한국어 파이팅 파이팅 파이팅!